Collaboration using review management. Collaboration is an essential part of any project. Getting feedback, sign-off, approval, e-signature are capabilities that the review management module provides within the modern requirements for TFS suite. There are two types of reviews one can initiate. One is where the stakeholders are requested to provide feedback as stakeholders so they can provide comments against requirements. The other is to provide feedback in form of approval of the work items. In this training module, we will create reviews for reviewers, get feedback. Based on that, we'll update the work items and then reinitiate the review for approval with the same work items, where we will approve and or reject the work items, and we look at the various features available within review management. This is the query view. In the query view, you can select some or all work items and initiate a review from here. Or you can choose all the work items in the query result from the toolbar. Similarly, you can initiate a review from the backlog view. So let's say if I want to get feedback on these work items or some subset of it, we may simply initiate a review from the backlog view through the context menu. When initiating the review, you have two choices as mentioned earlier. You have reviewers who can provide comments and approvers who can provide comments but also can approve and reject the work item. So let's select a reviewer. I'll select myself so I can show you how that's going to work. And then you give it a name. So say user management review. You can provide a description in here, as in a purpose. The work items selected are already part of the review. I can remove items from here, or I can add others. Let's choose a due date. When doing just a review for feedback, not for approval, these rules don't apply. So we'll look at this later on. When this email is sent to users, a email is initiated to the users with work items that are hyperlinked and a hyperlink that says start your review session. When the user, either the approver or the reviewer, selects start your review session, they're taken to the review screen. The reviewers and the approvers do not require paid licenses. They can use the modern requirements stakeholder license. And here you are. So that's the review that has been sent. And this is what shows up if you click on that hyperlink to start the review. So at this point, you can come in here and you can say, I like this, but we need to add address. And then you can submit your feedback. And likewise, you can go through the various work items and provide your details. If you want to look at the details of any work item, simply click on the hyperlink, and this will bring up the work item detail window where you can see the details. Now, as a reviewer, if you don't want to provide comments on all of those, and there might be others that you don't want to provide comments on, so I provide the comments on the ones that I do want to provide feedback, and then I simply go mark it as review complete. Okay. When you mark it as review complete, under the details tab, you will see that my review has been completed. Alternatively, if I responded to every work item, this would automatically get marked completed. But there might be work items that you did not want to provide comments on. Then you can just sort of in here, click on Review Complete. So this is what the reviewer would do. Now, as the initiator, I could go ahead and make changes to the work items. So let's say I go here and I say web application. I'm going to make a few changes here. And I do all the changes I want to do. I go save it. I go to the next one. I got some feedback here. I make updates. I go to this one. I got some feedback. I make some more updates. At which point I may want to reinitiate the review. Now, in order to reinitiate the review, you would click on Review Request from within the review. And so it's asking me, do I want to use the latest revisions of the work item or the same revisions? So I do want to use the latest revision of the work item. So I say yes. So at which point now I don't want to get feedback, I actually want to get approval. So I'll select the user here. And of course, you can select multiple approvers and reviewers in the same request. And then here, I will say, instead of this, I'll say for approval. All right, so now here we have got some additional fields. So I can change the date. I've got some rules here. So one of my rule here is that I want the user to either approve all the work items at once or not at all. So it's all or nothing scenario if we check this. The default is you can approve individually. The second thing is you can request e-signature, which will require the user to re-enter their password. You can also choose that when work items are in this package, they need to be in the, let's say, the new state. That means it'll filter out everything else. So it will make sure that only new state work items are there, and that after it is approved, that it become active. But for this case, let's not apply the rule here, because then we will filter data out, and I don't want it to be filtered out. So we will not do state transition right now, but certainly, as you saw, we could select the state transition rules and go through that process. Okay. At this point, I will receive an email, this email, with this hyperlink, so that I can initiate another review process where I will approve or reject the work items. So at this point in time, what I could do here is that I could go here and I could say, let me see what are the details of the work item. So I click on the hyperlink. I can see what's in here. Say fine. I want to see the difference between this revision of the work item and perhaps some other. So I could say, okay, you know what? Let's see the difference between this and that, and it'll redline how things have changed. So at this point, I said this looks good. It wants my password for e-signature, and now the item is approved. I go to the next one, and I want to reject it for some reason. So for that reason, I'll go here and I will enter a comment. So for rejection, a comment is required. And I'll go reject it. It's been rejected. Now, as long as the review is still open, I can change my mind. I could come back here and say approved, and change my approval status on it. As the initiator of the review, I could come and see that somebody has rejected it, and in turn accept the fact that they have rejected it, and then create a new work item. So in fact, I'll say, yes, I agree. I will add a new work item for it. Enter, and that will add my comment. And now I'll go and actually create a new work item. So I'll go create a user story. As a user, I can do green, so that blah, blah, blah. And so now I've created this work item, and all of that is within this conversation. The other thing that the approver can do is they could come here, I can say, thanks, I will now approve the requirement, submit that as a comment. So I've just added a comment there, and now maybe I'll just go in and approve it. Although I could have added the comment and approved it in one shot. But what I wanted to show was you can actually go and add comments by itself as well, other than just approving things. And similarly, you can go ahead and approve and or reject other work items. Now from the review, you can also generate a smart report. So you can select your template, your style sheet, and then generate a document based on the information in your review package. And then save that as Word or PDF. From the review, you can also generate an audit report, and that will identify everybody who has either approved it or rejected it using e-signature, or have not approved or rejected, so people that are incomplete in their review. You may also create a new baseline based on this review. And when you do that, it'll give you some different options in terms of which revision of the work items do you want to create in your baseline. As initiator of the review, you may also come into the Details tab, look at the progress that's been made by different users, approvers and reviewers alike, and then you may also send reminders, close the review, where nobody else can now provide more feedback, or cancel the review, in which case the review is removed altogether. In your review process, you can, if you're trying to remember how to do some things, and if you have questions, a good place to start is the review panel. And in the review panel, there are many topics covered where it will show you step by step as to how to do things. The review process can be initiated from within review by simply doing new review. You can initiate the review from the backlog, from the query, from Smart Docs. And you can also initiate the review, start the review from the baseline module. In this module, we have looked at how to create reviews, how to provide feedback, how to reinitiate review from existing reviews, and request approval. We've looked at how to create discussion and work items from within a discussion on a given work item. And we've looked at other options of canceling, closing the review, sending reminders, using rules within the review. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.